How's it going, Knicks fans? Welcome back to another episode of Fireside Knicks. I'm your host, Dylan Backer, and I'm joined with my brother and co-host, Justin Backer. And tonight, the New York Knicks won yet again, sweeping the back-to-back, defeating the Toronto Raptors on the road by a score of 119 to 106. It was a very quality win, honestly. A lot of big performances from multiple guys in this one. Very refreshing win after kind of the shaky win against the lousy Detroit Pistons last night. So good to see that. Without further ado, though, I'm just gonna pass it off to Justin. He's gonna give us the game recap and some of his biggest takeaways from this victory in Toronto.
Yeah, I'm going to say that this is the most impressive win of the season. This isn't the best win that the Knicks have had this year, but it is the most impressive. They just played last night, and it was a game that really shouldn't have been as close as it ended up being. So they had a dogfight last night, had to play in a back-to-back on the road against a Toronto team that really has given them problems over the last few years. Obviously Toronto is not world beaters or anything. They're a decent team, but they're not like anything crazy. But they've given the Knicks fits for a couple of years now. They seem to struggle all the time against them, especially on the road. And they pull off a really convincing win against them. They win this game by 13 points. Some big performances in this one too. I'll get into that in just a second. But throughout the first half, this was a close game, kind of just back and forth battle. In the second half, though, the Knicks kind of just pulled away. They did what they always do. The bench played phenomenal in this one, I thought, and they just pulled away and came out with a win. There was some things that weren't great, specifically defensive rebounding. Defensive rebounding was a bit of a mess in this game. Toronto had a lot of offensive rebounds. I felt like a lot of second chance opportunities, but thankfully it didn't matter too much. The Knicks still won by double digits. So I'll get into our top performers now. Jalen Brunson again. He just came off 42 points last night against the Pistons. Tonight he had 22 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, was 9 for 21 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3. Captain consistency, right? That's pretty much all I got to say about him. RJ Barrett kind of struggled again in this one a little bit. 15 points, 6 for 18 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. I think the migraines may have taken number 9 away from me. I put that on Twitter. I don't know what's going on, but ever since he came back, he's been very shaky. Thankfully, the team has played well. So, it hasn't been like a problem, but you want to see him get back to what he was doing at the start of the year. He was, averaging like 22 points. He was knocking down basically half his threes. He was 20 for 40 to start the year from three. So exactly half of his threes, pretty much all of that has fallen off though, since he came back from the injuries and the migraines. I said it when he got injured that, every year starts to get in a groove, gets injured for a few games, comes back and isn't the same. Hopefully this is just, a little cold streak, maybe coming back to earth a little bit because he was playing a little out of his mind, something that we really haven't seen from him really his whole career. He was kind of playing up to a totally new level. So maybe this is just him kind of coming back to earth a little bit, but hopefully he starts to pick it up soon. Because man, if him, Brunson, and Randall all have it going at the same time, oh my God, the team's already good. Could you imagine that those three have it going at the same time? But yeah, Quentin Grimes, only 4 points again. I'm not going to make this whole another Quentin Grimes slander video, but oh my God, 4 points. I don't know what to say. I think Dante DiVincenzo absolutely needs to start over him at this point. Did you see what he did today? 7 threes off the bench, 21 points, 7 of 10 from the field. This would have been his best game of the season, but he had 7 threes against Charlotte too. So, he's tied his career high in threes twice this season already. Yeah, at this point, I really don't see the point in starting Grimes anymore. I just don't see it. There's no reason. DiVincenzo clearly does a whole lot more, and at this point, I could argue he's a better shooter than Grimes. So I don't know, but Emmanuel Quickly only 10 points in this one, only 19 minutes. That was kind of the big thing for Quickly in this one. I thought he didn't play a whole lot. It was a little strange, but thankfully the Knicks won by double digits, so it's not really a talking point. Thankfully, Josh Hart though, man. That third quarter was insane. He had 17 points in this game in total. 15 of them came in 3.5 minutes at the end of the third quarter. I've never seen him at any point in his career get on a hot streak like that in the middle of a game. That was incredible to watch. He was basically just taking over the game. He really extended the Knicks' lead. Really, it was kind of a close game in the third quarter. A single-digit lead. All of a sudden, the lead ballooned to 14, 15 points thanks to Hart dropping 15 consecutive points out of nowhere. So, yeah, that was great. I think he's officially back. After the whole thing where he was quote unquote disgruntled and complaining about his role and stuff like that, it seems like he's bounced back nicely from that. And ever since that, it really has lit a fire under him. Every game since then, really, he's played pretty exceptional. And this is exactly what we've been expecting from Josh Hart. This is what we saw last year. This is what we grew accustomed to. We didn't really see this at the beginning of the year. We were kind of questioning what's going on. Is this, were we overrating Hart, things like that? But it seems like he's back and he's playing with the same energy and fire that he was last year, and he's a lot less hesitant. He hit three threes in this game, 3 for 4 from three, 7-11 from the field. At the beginning of the year, he was hesitating so much. I would have been surprised if he got 11 shots up in the game. So, this is really great to see, though, from him. Julius Randle, he had a really, really productive game in this one, too. He almost had a triple double. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists, 8 for 15 from the field. He only had 2 turnovers too with 9 assists. That's great. He's cutting down the turnovers. He was a plus 15 in this game too. Before the game, he randomly popped up on the injury report with some knee swelling, I guess. And, we all know Randall's a warrior. He's going to play. He ended up playing. He was very productive in this one. Usually when something like this happens, I'm kind of like, uh-oh, he's going to play. Like, is he going to be ineffective? He's playing on a bum knee, all this and that. But he was very effective today. You honestly couldn't even tell the knee was bothering him. So I don't really know what that was when he popped up on the injury report with the knee, but I don't think it'll be an issue moving forward considering how well he played in this one. And he played a lot of minutes too. He played 35 minutes. So I guess it really wasn't a concern. Yeah, I really don't have much else to add other than Dante DiVincenzo needs to start. That's really all I have to say about this one at this point. Great win, most impressive win of the season by far. They have the Bucks next on Tuesday, I believe, for the in-season tournament quarterfinals. Obviously, y'all know how I feel about the in-season tournament, but that's going to be a tough test. I mean, the Bucks are a very good team, as we know. So, just hopefully we can keep rolling and keep stacking up the W's. They're up to 12-7 on the season. I believe this is the second best start that they've had really in the last decade, other than 2012, 2013. So this is really great to see. The Knicks are a very good basketball team. So yeah, I want to hear your thoughts now.
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is somewhere right now, Jay Wright is smiling seeing what his Villanova guys did tonight. Especially Dante DiVincenzo, man. That guy is unreal. He's just been a phenomenal free agent signing, and I really think he needs to start. We've been saying it every single time, and I will keep pushing the Dante DiVincenzo button until he is in the starting five. He needs to be starting. He's so much better for the offense. He's fit so much better with the starting unit than Quentin Grimes. He's more creative with the ball than Quentin Grimes. You could argue he's a more active defender at times than Quentin Grimes. And I think right now it's not even close that he's a better shooter. He's a more confident shooter, and he knocks him down at a more efficient rate. I think at that point, there's really no reason why Quentin Grimes should be starting over DiVincenzo. It's giving me the same vibes of Elfrid Payton starting over Emmanuel Quickley in 2021. I really, at this point, DiVincenzo needs to be put in the starting lineup. And now, before I move on, I'm not comparing Quentin Grimes to Elfrid Payton because Elfrid Payton was god-awful. Quentin Grimes has not been god-awful as a Knick. But at this point, I think you need to make the move. And I really think Tom Thibodeau needs to kind of put his big boy pants on and actually do it. And not do what he did 2 years ago to what I just alluded to. But moving on from that, just really impressed with the win. I thought coming into this game, it was going to be a tough matchup because Toronto is a team with a lot of size. They're active. They've always given the Knicks fits, especially over the past 2 years. Last year, Toronto beat us 3 out of 4 times. I really thought this was going to be kind of a battle for them, especially since the Knicks were coming on a back-to-back as well and kind of played, like you said, a dogfight against Detroit out of all teams, which I'm still kind of upset about, but they kind of, relieved me a little bit with a quality win against a much better opponent. Not exactly a great opponent because Toronto is an under 500 team. They're not a winning team, but they're not the Detroit Pistons bad. So, it kind of refreshed me a little bit, kind of made me, feel a little bit better about this team than I did last night. But overall, though, like I was saying, just really good win. I thought, it was a good team effort. It wasn't like, like last night against the Pistons, for example, where it was basically just Jalen Brunson carrying the team to a win. This was a quality win where a lot of guys stepped up when they needed to. They were efficient from the floor tonight. I believe they shot 50% from the field or something close to that, and like 44% from three. They were efficient all around. They shot very well. They were playing good offense. They were playing very good defense in the second half. The first half, I was a little bit concerned about the defense because it was a tie game at halftime. Second half, they locked it down, though. Part of that was also because the Raptors just couldn't buy a bucket down the stretch and really most of that third quarter. But at the end of the day, Knicks took advantage of that and capitalized and played some really good offense in the second half, which I was really pleased with. But overall, like I said, next game now, they have the Bucks. Now that's gonna be tough, and we're facing the Bucks an extra time this season because of this in-season tournament. We're gonna be facing them a total of 5 times this season. It would have been 4, but now it's gonna be 5 because of this tournament. So I don't know how I feel about that because the Bucks are a very good team, but I also think the Knicks can beat them. I don't think the Bucks are necessarily unbeatable. I've seen teams, make games close. For example, even the Chicago Bulls just went to overtime with the Bucks. Sure, they lost that game, but they went to OT with them. So clearly, anybody can kind of hold their own with the Milwaukee Bucks. The Bucks are a very, very good team. Do not get me wrong, but they have a really bad defensive problem right now. And I think the Knicks need to take advantage of that. And with the way they scored tonight and how efficient they were, if they play like that against Milwaukee on Tuesday, then they can walk out of there with a win and move on to the semifinals of the tournament and go to Vegas, which is something I was not expecting when this whole tournament started. I'm just going to be honest. And if people, for those who actually do care about the tournament, for the Knicks were down by 19 to the Miami Heat in the game they came back in. If the Knicks would have lost that game, which it seemed like they were going to, they wouldn't even be in the quarterfinals of the tournament right now. So for those who are, really paying attention to the tournament and want to see the Knicks, make it to the NBA Cup and even win the whole thing, think about that Miami game, because that Miami game changed a whole lot for them and it got them to where they are now. And you could consider them one of the best 8 teams in the NBA regular season because of that. So, just a little food for thought right there. I don't really have much else to add though about this Raptors win. You kind of hit on every point, especially the defensive rebounding. I definitely think that does need to be improved, but I think with time it will improve. I think teams are just becoming a little bit more active on the glass because of how good Mitchell Robinson has been. So they're game planning against that a little bit better, but hopefully the Knicks kind of respond to that and game plan against that, and to get better at the rebounding. But like I just said, I don't have much to add about this game. At this point, looking forward to Tuesday against Milwaukee. Kind of just, taking these next few days off. I think the Knicks need it. They've been playing a lot of games and they just had it back to back and they've been playing a lot of minutes. So they're going to need this rest for a pretty big game against Milwaukee on Tuesday. I'm going to pass it back to you though, Justin. You got anything else you want to add and kind of preview the Bucks game on Tuesday a little bit?
Yeah, I think you hit on pretty much everything. I this was just a quality win. I thought Randall has been excellent lately. Randall's averages are back up to kind of around what we've become accustomed to really on the season. Now he's averaging 20, 10, and 6. How many power forwards are capable of that in the NBA? You could probably count on your fingers how many. There's not many that can do that. So for the people who are like, we need to trade Randall for X player, whatever, at half the time it's a player who's not even as good as Randall. You know, those kind of players don't grow on trees. It's 20, 10, and 6, where, that size and athleticism like that. And when he's got it going like this, where he's efficient from the field, this is a second or third game in a row now. He's been over 50% from the field, and the results have shown the team is winning. So, when he's got it going like this, the team is going to do good things, which is very, very, really, really important. At the beginning of the season, we kind of were like, is RJ Barrett the second option on this team? Stuff like that. Obviously, we know Brunson is kind of taken over as the first option, rightfully so. He's earned that right at this point. But, I think Julius has done fine as the second option so far. He's bounced back really nicely from the, putrid start to the season. His field goal percentage is back up over 40. Obviously, you want it higher, but considering it was in the mid 20s to start the season and we were comparing him to guys that played in the 1950s, it's definitely a step in the right direction. He's playing at an all-star level like he was. He had a solid month of November. So first game in December, he played well. So I'm expecting a big month from Randall, to be honest. Yeah, and hopefully they come out of Milwaukee on Tuesday with a W and we move to the semifinals. That's gonna be a tough matchup for Randall. Obviously I was just talking about him, so I'll continue, but that's gonna be a tough matchup for him. Giannis is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Obviously, the Bucks are not a great defensive team, but Giannis is a great defensive player. So that's going to be a very tough matchup for Randall. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, he doesn't have an absolute stinker in front of the whole world, because the whole world will be watching this game. It's an in-season tournament game. It's going to be one of the first in-season, tournament playoff games, if you will, because it's the quarterfinals. So there can be a lot of eyes on this game. Hopefully Julius doesn't get embarrassed by Giannis, but it is Giannis. He's top 2, top 3 players in the world for a reason. So guess we'll see what happens. But, I really don't have much else to add. I thought this was an impressive win. Hopefully we're talking about another impressive win on Tuesday. Milwaukee's 13-6. They're a very good team. So yeah, I really don't have much else to say.
Yeah, like you said, Milwaukee's 13-6, but the New York Knicks are just one game right behind them. They're 12-7, and they've won 3 in a row, and 10 of their last 13. And I feel like that is not being talked about enough around the league. The New York Knicks are on fire right now, and they are playing some very good basketball. Sure, they've had some tough losses. For example, the Minnesota loss was a bad loss. The Devin Booker game winner was a heartbreaker. But they've been resilient. They've been playing strong, and they've been playing some really good basketball. And I really think this team can do something special. I really do. Yes, I know we're only about 19, 20 games into the season. I know that. But we're at the point where we can kind of start evaluating teams and looking at them and go, okay, maybe that team is legit. Maybe that team can actually do something. I think the New York Knicks need to be in that conversation of they can actually do something. Now, we're not going to start saying, oh, they're winning the NBA Finals because they've been beating these guys. No, I want to see them, beat some tougher opponents, and I think this Bucks game is going to be a big test to them. They lost to the Bucks in, I don't want to say a heartbreaking fashion because they didn't lose on a game winner to the Bucks the first time they played them, but they lost in the final minute in a game that they really could have won. A game they came back in and they got it snatched right away. I want to see the Knicks kind of be resilient, come back strong, kind of play with a little bit of a chip on the shoulder a little bit. And also, like you said, the whole world is watching. So if they want to prove to everybody that they're legit, they're going to have to do it on Tuesday in front of the national stage. But other than that, I don't got much else to say, so I think this is a good time to wrap the video up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really appreciate your guys' support on this. Let us know what you guys got to say about the Knicks lately in the comment section below. They're rolling right now, and we'd love to hear what you guys got to say. You can follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're on X, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page that you're watching it on. The audio version of the podcast is going to be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating on those. Our personal X accounts are above our heads, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of Fireside Knicks. Peace out.